In December of 2019, my boyfriend took his own life, and I immediately started in psychotherapy again. I had previously been in therapy from an eating disorder through my late teens and 20s. And so fortunately, my therapist at the time actually wrote her thesis in suicide. So she had a background, able to take on me again as a patient. And I was with her for about a year and a half afterwards, and it was very effective. Kind of worked through the initial guilt, the shock, a lot of the pain, remorse. And she retired in June, and I did well for a month or so. And then I started finding a little bit more of like the PTSD symptoms coming up. And the biggest thing that I struggled with was flashbacks, anxiety, situational anxiety, more or less. Not full-blown panic attacks, but I was able to kind of keep things calm for the most part, wouldn't really show it to the outside. But it started seeping into other relationships in my life. I had a harder time actually with patient care, because when I work with patients, it's one-on-one for either a half hour. So that interpersonal connection was getting harder for me. People would talk about their pain, and I just, in my own head, I was having a hard time, empathizing or even sympathizing with them. Because again, things became harder for me to cope. And when I tend to have a harder time to cope, I tend to work more. It became like this cyclical thing. And I had always been interested in alternative therapy. I'm in mainstream healthcare. However, I've always had a passion towards the alternative side of medicine. And I started looking into different approaches. I looked into various psychedelics, but didn't really know where to start with that. And I had heard about ketamine, but I didn't really think it was available in this area. And I just did a gross search online, and it was like this holy grail epiphany where the Drake Center popped up. And I remember looking at the website, and I actually had some encouragement just by looking at the website. And, I was a little sheepish, and I did just a little quick, online submission to contact them. And Dr. Drake was extremely prompt in responding, which that alone, that really prompt reply was also comforting. I ended up doing 3 ketamine sessions in total until I got to a place of where we considered more remission, where I didn't really need to do another ketamine session. And I would say from even the first session alone, the obvious came about. There was a lot of healing just from, the loss of my significant other. I had a lot of guilt that I was carrying, a lot of responsibility in that. And that first session alone, I had such release of that guilt, where there's like words in the back of my head that were saying like, you were not responsible. And it was such a sense of freedom that I hadn't had in, 18 months. I truly think that anyone can benefit from ketamine-assisted therapy, even from art therapy alone, if you're not a good candidate for, ketamine. I was a little ashamed that I had, we'll say this issue, that I was struggling from PTSD. Again, like I wore a very different professional face, but on the inside I was struggling. And I think, again, it goes along with the whole mental health side of the world, where there's not enough talk on that. And there's really nothing to be ashamed about. Getting help is not, it's not a bad thing. Like I was in a point in my time where I knew I needed it because it was affecting the rest of my life so significantly, but I wish I would have come here a little sooner before it started to negatively impact the rest of my life. The minute you start to feel a little depressed, a little down, even, turning to other substances. I know a lot of people that cope by, using other substances. Before you get to that point, truly, there are other ways. There are ways that are so much more effective to actually get you a place of healing. There's no reason to feel shameful or to feel guilty. I had various visions that came to me during these ketamine-assisted, therapy sessions. And one thing that really stood out to me was a wolf. I would kind of get this reoccurring wolf. And I've always liked wolves, kind of been my spirit animal. It's my land spirit animal. I always like dolphins as like my water spirit animal. And one of the first paintings that I did was just this abstract woman and kind of this wolf almost coming out of her. And then when I originally looked at this image, it was like this wolf was kind of taking her over. And there was this like perspective shift when I was painting it. I was like, no, no, no. This is actually like the woman is becoming the wolf. Like she's becoming powerful. She's not, you know, a victim to all these things that are happening into her life. Like she's powerful and able to, you know, function and competent. And so I ended up painting that, and it turned out a lot better than I had imagined. Again, like I have a little bit of a creative side to me, but it was a little intimidating to start that. But Jackie was wonderful in guiding me through it and sketching it out first and painting. And again, like the whole painting process was incredibly therapeutic. And just to see this image in my mind then transform into this art piece that I now have with me, that was pretty amazing to see that come to life. And it was something I was proud of too, right? I showed a few friends and I showed my mother, and, you know, I was proud of my work. It's like being a little kid and coming home with your artwork and putting it on the fridge. You know, I had it in my house. I was excited to have that displayed. And it was also a memento of how far I've come. And I actually ended up getting something tattooed similarly on me. And it was planned. You know, Dr. Drake and I had joked about, you know, not doing anything spontaneous. Don't get a tattoo right away. I was like, well, I might have, but, you know, something I had planned to do already. But it was a really significant piece to me, and I'll always have that. And that's actually something too along the same lines, is that during the ketamine-assisted therapy, it's fully like sensory immersive the way they do it here at the Drake Center. And so I had a particular playlist that I listened to each time. And I actually found myself listening to that same playlist when I was stressed or when I would take my dog for a walk every morning. And I was able to recall the moments of when I was in these, you know, trips with ketamine. And various songs, I remember being in more of a deeper, relaxed state. And that too, I mean, to this day, I still listen to it. Maybe a couple times a week. I'll just put it on when I'm driving. And it provides me a lot of comfort too. So again, it's interesting how everything is fully immersive. Oh, they're wonderful, wonderful people. Made me feel incredibly comfortable, welcome. I am really forever indebted to them. I am a better person because of them. So thank you.